guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Denise, aka Missing Streets, and today we're going to be doing, it's going to be a tag, but these prompts were inspired through TikTok. I have to find the original TikTok for it. But even though it's going to be like, you know, questions and stuff like that, I think I'm just be like, oh, let's talk about books I read in 2023. Not all of them though. So, I have the questions on my iPad, and I'm going to be referring through my phone for some of, the answers. I will say I will try to not do same book for each answer. We're not going to do that. And on top of that, I'm going to be answering these while I'm getting ready because I'm going out today. So, sit back, relax, watch me do makeup. I'm not going to really say what products I'm using. I'm just going to go through, talk about the books. So without further ado, let's get started. The first question is Underdog of the Year. And for me, I have two. I have Starfish by Akemi Don Bowman and Not So Perfect Strangers by L.S. Stratton. I chose these two specifically because with Starfish, it really tackles on the arts, and you get to see Kiko's journey and her discovery journey, not only with art but within herself and the environment that she's in, and that really stuck out to me. And then with Not So Perfect Strangers, just because that is my first thriller, and for it to be my first thriller, I very much enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to get, too into the plot, necessarily. I'm not saying I didn't have a lot of high expectations, but I just didn't know what I was getting myself into. So, going through that story, I was just like, wow, this was actually pretty good. For my first thriller at that, I really enjoyed it. Question number 2 is favorite book couple, and that's automatically Iris and August from Longshot. The way that they went through so much, right? Where is my settings? Right, there it is. They went through so much to get to where they are. And just them as characters really stood out to me, but especially with Iris as well, because, listen, Iris went through so much. She is she is the epitome of strong, so strong. And, August never giving up despite everything that was going on. So, they are absolutely my favorite book couple ever, genuinely, because when I tell you that book has a grip on me, I genuinely mean that. Number 3, a book that surprised me. I think I'm actually going to say Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde, because that book gave me such an unexpected read that I was really engaged with. Because, keep this in mind, I don't really read a lot of nonfiction a lot. So with this, I was excited because I liked what the premise was talking about, especially in terms of what Lorde has dealt with in her life. But the essays were so informative and very eye-opening. I very much appreciated everything. There's literally one essay that's called Poetry It's Not a Luxury, I'm pretty sure. And that's one of my favorite essays in the book. One of my favorite essays. I literally annotated that book to filth. If you know me, hi, I don't annotate books whatsoever. However, when it comes to nonfiction books, I more than likely will. Especially if I'm going to be learning something from it, I will annotate. But like anything else, like with like contemporary, romance, fiction, all that stuff, no, I won't do it. So that collection really gave me such an insightful read, and I gained a lot out of it. So I very much appreciate that book. So much. Question 4, favorite author I've discovered. I'm not going to lie, there are quite a few. One of them, I can't really say because I already kind of answered, but I think I'm just gonna say it anyway because it needs to be said. Candy Ryan. She is an auto-buy author for me at this rate. If she writes it, I will read it. She was my most read author this year. So that explains a lot. Christina Forrest is another one. I just read one of her books. I talked about it in my December reading wrap-up. That's already up if you want to go check it out. Yeah, she's going to be another auto-buy. She's going to be another auto-buy for me. And I'm going into her backlist. Same with Candy Ryan's. I'm slowly deeping into her backlist. Slowly, surely. I think I'm going to mention one more. Because I think there is definitely one more that I also wanted to mention. No, I read her last year. Cat Cho. That's another one I wanted to mention. I've wanted to read her work for a while. And so I got to read Once Upon a K-pop, and I really liked her writing. So I want to read more of her backlist, which I'm going to be getting to, hopefully, at some point next year. So those are probably some of my favorite authors that I've discovered this year. Number 5, a book you haven't stopped thinking about, Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I think that's enough said. Am I still recovering? Yes. I read it in March. But yes, I'm still recovering. Sure am. Sure am. Am I ready for Bloodmarked? Not really. However, I am telling myself I am. It's a mandatory read next year. Bloodmarked is a mandatory read for me next year. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. It's happening. So, I'm very excited. Bree is probably one of my favorite main characters, genuinely. Does she have her moments? Yes, but like I said, she's one of my favorite characters that I really appreciate and grew to love. So, I'm very, very, very excited to get to Bloodmarked after the announcements of Oathbound, if I'm not mistaken, and then her 4th book. The girl's gonna have to catch up. And with that one for Bloodmarked, I know I'm taking my sweet ass time with it. I know that much. So, I can't wait to get to it. But, Bree, I love you. Number 6, a book you convinced the most people to read. I don't know if I convinced a lot of people to read a book, especially from this year, actually. So I can't really answer that. If you have followed me on my social media, was there a book that I literally convinced you to read? I would like to know in the comments because I need to know, because I don't really know if I did. If I did, good to know. I love the impact. But I guess if there was one that I did really talk about quite a bit, it's Love on Repeat by D. Rose. That book has my heart and everything else. Absolutely adored the story, absolutely adored the characters. I loved the way the story flowed, and just everything about that book was just everything to me. So I think that might be the closest thing. But I'm very excited to read the spin-off for it, and I am reading that next year too. Is that going to be a mandatory for me to read next year? I think it will. It'll probably be a good thing too. The next question is 7. An unpopular book you love. Now, I don't know if this is unpopular or not, but I'm going to say things you may find hidden in my ear by Misav Abitoha, and that book literally changed me. I know, I also just read it, but that collection is everything. Not only, obviously, you get to see what the author has to deal with being from someone who is not only Palestinian, but also lives in Gaza. But just the beauty of the city, the pains of everything, all of it, and even just with his personal life, it's such a remarkable read. Such a remarkable read. I would go back and reread it again, and I'm probably going to anyway. Because the way that I highlighted so many lines and so many phrases that really stood out to me, it was just, that collection was everything to me, honestly. And I think a lot of people should read it. Because for me personally, with how I read, it's also good to read outside of your comfort and outside of your lived experience as well. So, I very much highly recommend that collection so much. The way that he writes is just chef's kiss, and it really got me inspired. So, please go check out that collection, genuinely. And the last question is a book with a unique concept, and for that, I think I might have a few answers for this one, actually. Let me see. Real quick. Yeah, there are a few, actually, that I want to mention about. One of them is Jujutsu Kaisen. That's one of them. It was really interesting, and I cannot wait to get to know more of what's going on in that world. So that really stood out to me. There is another one. Spy Family. Spy Family also stood out to me just because just the concept of, 3 strangers from 3 walks of life having to form an arranged family to take down a mission. Yeah. I really like that, and that's a series I also need to continue to read the manga, and then I need to watch the anime as well. And then there is probably one more. No, there is 2 more. Solo Leveling. That's another one, and I cannot wait to continue it. And I think there is one more, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, there's one more. And that is The Glass Man by Multimind. That really caught my interest. And what I mean by that really, like, caught my interest, I genuinely mean that the premise of the story as a whole, and on top of that, just the way that it was structured and how all these different elements tie into the story. You have like that kind of like dark element to it, but also the fantasy and just also the storytelling of it all. That very much stood out to me. That was something. And I'm actually glad I read a book like that too. Because it's nice to read something different for what you're so used to reading. So I was really happy just, reading that book and reading a lot of some of the other books that I've read this year that I did not expect for myself to read. So bravo me. Love that for myself. So I'm going to say basically those. And that's the end of the tag. I hope that you guys enjoyed these questions. I'll put the questions as well down below, as well with the person who made up these prompts for questions, because this was originally supposed to be on TikTok, but I wanted to talk about it more. So if you guys enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and comment down below your books that really stood out to you this year. You can even use the prompt questions to even answer them in the description below. There's gonna be one more little video before this tag is up. So by the time this tag is up, I hope you guys had a happy new year and everything like that. I'm gonna be talking about like my bookish goals for next year, and I'm gonna talk about those in like bullet points, but also not make it too out there. So until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you follow my socials. All that will be in the description below. I don't know if I said that already, but if I did, I did. Ooh. I'll see you guys in my next video.